into the media piece. All right, now, we talked about media's responsibility. I just grabbed this book. It's called Dalai Lama's Little Book of Inner Peace. He said, the power and responsibility of the media. Let's consider the situation with the media. On television, for example, every day there's an emphasis on sex and violence. I doubt that the producers of such programs really want to harm society, but their priority is just financial profit, and they don't appear to have any sense of social responsibility. On the other side, the audience seems to like the sensations that these programs produce, so viewers share the blame too. In a situation like this, where influences converge, what can we do? Each of us is responsible for reducing the negative potential of every situation we have to face. If we wish to change the world, first we must improve and transform ourselves. Political and religious leaders should acknowledge that nowadays they are not the only ones who wield power and authority. Power of the press is well known and well researched. The power of radio and especially of television is now becoming central. The power of the media is a real power which acts on us directly and indirectly, and which modifies our behavior, our taste, and probably our thinking. Like any authority, it cannot be applied at random. This power gives journalists a responsibility comparable to that of religious and political leaders. In their own way, they are too contributing to the establishment and maintenance of a human community, and the well-being of that community should be their first concern. Perfect example, Mumia Abu Jamal. That is the perfect recent example of a responsible journalist. That's why he's in jail, because he became the voice of the voiceless. At 12 years old, Mumia Abu Jamal was a member of the Black Panther Party and on the newspaper staff of the Black Panther Party in Philadelphia. He took up journalism at that young age of 12 with the Panther paper. He went on to graduate top of his class and became one of the most well-known black journalists in the Philadelphia area. Then he took his skill and started covering a small group called Move and talked about what they did and brought that to society. And then he started challenging the status quo, but through journalism. The only person noted that did the same thing prior to him was Sister Ida B. Wells. Ida B. Wells is another icon for journalism who took her pen and paper and started talking about lynching, started talking about unfair, treatment of black people during the Reconstruction period. As a result of Ida B. Wells' constant hitting them with that pen, she caused 4,000 some odd black people to get up and leave Memphis, Tennessee, and go settle into what you now call Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's how Tulsa, Oklahoma was born. And she said, why are we here suffering like this? And we are the backbone of the finances. We're the backbone of everything that goes on here. So how are you allowing yourself to be lynched? Why are you staying here and allowing this to happen? There's plenty of free land over there. And they don't want it. So white folks don't want it, let's go get it. They went over there, and y'all know the history of Wall Street after that. See? So that shows you the power of the pen. It's just like I'm an artist. I'm a writer. Everything I write, I know I'm responsible for what I write. I can't just be writing any old thing. Even if it is political. I got to be careful. I can't write, yours go blow up a building. Somebody might really go do that. You see what I mean? I got to be careful in how I'm going to write this, how I'm going to say this, how I'm going to portray this. So the same thing goes for us. Same thing definitely goes for anybody. We can't expect them to do it.
Is that called Black Wall Street?
Black Wall Street, right. Tulsa, Oklahoma became Black Wall Street. And Black Wall Street became the role model for a lot of other places. The Tulsa, the Rosewoods, even here in New York, in Chicago, there's a whole bunch of little towns that started mimicking Black Wall Street. And little, tiny, 4-foot something, Ida B. Wells is responsible for that. She was so powerful that all the black leaders at that time backed up from her. Except for like Du Bois. He was the only one that was like, you're right, come up north. You see? So that's the power of the media. That's the power of the responsible. That's also, now take that and flip it and you can see how powerful a misconception of us could be. Not only to black, but to white, but to purple and brown too. You see what I'm saying? We are responsible for controlling the image that we put out verbally of ourselves, because everyone who has an opinion that is based on whatever, you get your opinion from the media. You do not, I hate to say it, it doesn't mean you're not intelligent, but you do not conceive your own opinion. Like Red Tails, for instance, I put this in a little article I read. Raise your hand if you've seen the play Black Angels Above Tuskegee. Raise your hand if you've seen the Tuskegee Airmen, the other movie. Raise your hand if you visited or at least got to a lecture with Dr. Roscoe Brown Jr. Okay? Raise your hand if you have gone on YouTube at least and watched the PBS or the other documentaries about Tuskegee Airmen. Okay? Raise your hand if you've gotten the books about Tuskegee Airmen. If you haven't done all of the above, you don't have an opinion. It's that simple, because research builds opinion. And if you don't cross-reference research, you really don't have an opinion. You're kind of swaying into what's already been lined up for you. And then from that, the leaders or the powers that be, I don't want to use lead, the powers that be can anticipate your next move. And most of us are the same way. Like, let's say, young people. Raise your hand if you've gone to at least 5 different states and visited 5 different hoods and interviewed 5 different groups of young black people between the ages of 15 and 21. So you don't have a well-rounded view on young people. See? So where are we getting this information? We're getting this information from our enemy. And we're taking the enemy's information and using that as our paradigm of how we're going to roll out. Raise your hand if you visited at least 5 different states where poverty is an issue and interviewed the people who are suffering from that poverty and asked them why, what, when, and how, where. Because, journalism, that's the questions you ask. Why, what, when, how, where, who. You got to ask those questions. So if you haven't done that, then we're not thoroughly researching. See, and that's the difference between responsible media and miseducation, electronic empire distortion in America. That's the difference. Because these people that work for these guys, where's that picture? That works for these guys, they don't do that. They get told what to write. They sit in the room just like you guys sitting right now. I took a journalism class, when I was younger. I remember how they would tell us they go into they call it the sum up room. And okay, we're gonna talk about this, and this is what I want y'all to talk about. Okay, you're gonna get pictures of violence. You're gonna go out there and give me I need some poverty. You're gonna cover sports. You're gonna do this. Okay, boom, boom. All right, see me tomorrow. And you come back tomorrow with your, okay, no, we don't like that. That's too much. Now cut that out. We don't need that. This is what happens. And then this is what's left of all of that. So you can't even, and most of us read it like the situation with John Luke. I haven't gone and researched it. I didn't go to Chinatown and ask people, what you think about John Luke? You know anything about John Luke? Go to the stores, and I go to Chinatown all the time. I never asked a question about him. So I don't have an opinion. So I can't write, add, or nothing on that. See? And this is what we have to do.
So you're saying if we do our own research, like if we did the research that those guys were saying, we would get the whole picture.
Right.
As opposed to what was,
popular.
Tossed and who wants what to
Exactly.
said, and would have gotten the whole picture and made our own opinion.
Right.
Like Muammar Gaddafi. Most people who are following the media, thought of him as a tyrant, like this really evil guy, But like attending the event at the
Sister place.
yeah, at Sister's Place, and then giving you information that they did research on.
And then brother, we brought here.
Yeah, totally different, like night and day, So yeah, that came from research, from them doing the research on it.
We gave a thing here on Gaddafi and how we were able to balance it because politically we had that kind of information from people like the brothers and sisters at Sister's Place. But then I went out as a Muslim and started rounding up brothers and sisters who actually lived there. And what you went through every day. I want to know what it's like. You've been in how many years? And I ain't want nobody who didn't have at least 6 years or more in Libya because they couldn't give me a good definition. So the brother we brought, Imam Fufana, is 10 years in Libya. Man lived 10 years of his life there. And he clearly was like, no, this is it. So once we got that plus that, then we called the conference. Right after, we called the conference right here, brought him here and let him speak. I'm not going to say a word. I ain't living in Libya. You talk. You see what I'm saying? That's how we form our own opinions. People like, okay, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. I know the man. I knew the man. I walked with him. I talked with him. I know what he was about. I have yet to see anyone, blue, black, or green, really describe him. Everybody describes aspects of him. And usually the aspect that's going to push their agenda. Just like I know people who were with Malcolm. And from what they tell me, people still have yet to describe Malcolm. People grab onto things that make their moment go. I'm trying to get people hyped up. I'm going to talk about the Malcolm that you like to hear about. But I'm not going to tell you about the compassionate Malcolm because that might kill his speech. I'm not going to tell you about the well-rounded Malcolm who saw the whole world because that might kill this speech. Same thing with the media. They do the same thing. Like, it's no accident that this is the biggest thing in the paper right now, the football game. I like a little sports too, but right now I ain't got time for that. We worry about Jets and Giants. Now on the low, does anybody know the other half of the story? What's going on with the two mayors? There's one over there and one over here. I think it was San Francisco. Yeah, the San Francisco and the mayor of New York. Anybody know?
What, they little bet?
They made a bet.
I would make that.
But wait a minute, gambling is illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
Gambling is illegal.
So for less than
I can't shoot dice on the corner.
Right.
Right? I can't. It's illegal and it's morally damaging to be wagering. But the mayors of both cities, last that they put out a bet. So see, you got to look at the underlying story. Like, why do we need to know that anyway? Number one, unless you're trying to entice us to what? But on the other hand, wait a minute. Let's go a little deeper, y'all. Let's do a little deeper research. Don't they want to bring a casino to New York?
Yeah.
So don't you have to sway people into accepting gambling on a high level, so that when they become nullified, and then when you start talking about building this casino, there'll be no opposition because everybody gambles? They're in opposition right now because people are saying we don't want no casino. It's going to cause this, that. Leave that out of New York. We don't need that. So this is how they start with little things like this, and you be so hyped about the team because you a 49er fan or you a Giants fan, so you like, yeah, and then you start making bets with your friends. And then pretty soon your kids is making bets. And then pretty soon casino, bow. See, we don't see it in that chain of events because we're not putting it all together. We're not doing our long-term and short-term research. The media does.
What happened, but in regards to gambling, the first time gambling was officially legalized here in New York City was when they did the lotto thing with the perpetrating stating that it's for the education, which they really never got the funds for.
Right.
Now the mayor's thing is the Powerball is $2 now per ticket because they want to entice people, direct statement, entice people to play Powerball, which has a starting pot of $80 million instead of $1, which had a $40 million pot. We're enticing, so they can post more programs to stop gambling or
Well,
lock you up.
They created that gambling system with the lottery, right? Okay, so the lotteries, we talking about that lottery for money, Powerball and all that. Yeah, we started numbers, they started lottery. Okay, so we came here and adopted, black people, we came here and we adopted their corruption to try to benefit us, and they took it and flipped it again and made something else out of it. Now, but wait a minute, isn't there a lottery for your kids to go to school? Keyword lottery. Isn't there a lottery for an apartment? Aren't there lotteries for jobs now? So games of chance are the norm nowadays. See, that's what I'm focusing on. You know, it doesn't matter how long ago they did it. The point is, look how it's progressed from money to just everything in your life now is a lottery. You know, pretty soon it's going to be a lottery on whether we kill you or not. You know, you go to jail today, you lost the lottery. Sorry, dude. You know, that's how it's going to turn out. And I'm listening as we're progressing, and slowly the far reaches are becoming the norms. Everything that was kind of over here is the norm. And we're just accepting it, and we're not even paying mind to it. Occupy Wall Street. We got so in Occupy Wall Street that we didn't think about Occupy issues. Like, what are the issues that are behind this? Is more important than just that aspect. That's just the cap. Because we could have been like Occupy Wall Street, then Africans could have been like Occupy the African burial ground. Then somebody else could have been like, well, hey, wait a minute, Occupy the oppressed Chinatown. And then see, we got off into that. But what about the issues that even made that happen? The issues of inappropriate dispensing of expenses and wealth. Plain old capitalism. That's the issue. We got like super rich people over here and super poor people over there. Why are the people super poor? Is it because they stupid, they dumb? No, it's because they read this. Why are they super rich? Because they write this. Simple. You let them tell you what you should think about each other. And that keeps you here. So, what was the weapon that the media used to finally penetrate Wall Street? Because now it's just a social gathering. What was it? Anybody remember the story in particular?
I
think it was a health issue.
That's it. Somebody died of mysterious health issues.
Did they?
Yeah, a person died in Wall Street. They said that was the dysentery that killed the person. Of the health issues. But why? My question is this. How did health even become an issue? How did we allow health to become an issue? Everybody down there was civilized.
Was living in those tents where they went to the bathroom?
Food, the garbage.
But all of those things are symptoms. What was the cause? Chime into what was the cause? What do you think?
Poor
Because the media
hygiene.
made it an issue? Or?
partially. They kind of played off of something that we did, though.
Right.
Poor hygiene, all those are symptoms. Anybody thinking like, where did we as a people, where did we go wrong? And because health wasn't always the issue. But something happened, and then a deterioration took place. Can anybody think hard? Forget the media. Forget the clinical, scientific thing. Just think. It's right there.
You said something happened.
Yeah, something happened to the people. Black, white, blue, whatever.
Tired?
Close, tired is part of it, but something else.
They gave up?
No, they didn't give up.
Influenced by the media?
They stopped being spiritual.
Man.
It was a righteous movement at first. Righteousness propels you to behave in an upstanding way. It propels you to move a certain way. When it started becoming personal and tribal, then everything just started falling. Whereas I might have offered to help clean up your tent because we're doing this together. I might have said, I got the bag, put all the garbage in the bag, I'll take everybody garbage out. People were going down there volunteering to help clean. All that stopped. We brought food down there. Yeah, I mean, everything was taking place. All of that began to deteriorate once the spiritual human content left the building. And then it went back to the old little towns in Europe, back in the days, the feudal
What made you
days.
say that it left? I mean, what did you see on the media that said that?
No, not the media. I went down there. For my visits down there, just walking through, looking, Like when we went down a couple of times, we went down there with missions to take food. As Muslims, we went down and held prayer. That was like the mission. But other times, I would just go down by myself and just kind of walk through and look. And I started noticing the change in the atmosphere. I felt it. People weren't as loving no more. Everybody was kind of closed off. It was getting cliquish after a while. It down to like this clique was here and this clique was, and the mic checks. Everybody was struggling over who gonna be the mic check. I mean, at first it was mic check and everybody chill out to that mic check in. Then it was like one big gathering in the middle, and they get to kind of what's going on for the day, and then you break out and carry out your jobs. But pretty soon it became a struggle who's the best organizer. And then all these popular heads started coming down there and speaking. So it became everybody was going down there, who's gonna be the next speaker. Nobody was going down there for the issue, but who's gonna be the next? Who's gonna be here today? Then all these hot to do, like Russell Simmons, they started coming down there and giving out one coat. So how it's freezing. How you only got one coat or 10 coats? Now everybody's struggling around him to get a coat or to walk with him and be seen on the camera. So forth and so forth. We allowed the revolutionary, because revolution is spirituality. We allowed the revolutionary content to disappear. And once it disappeared, the movement disappeared. Why do I cite that? Because the People's Survival Program has to maintain a revolutionary spiritual content or will fall apart. If we start going out there for individualistic reasons, we will fall apart. We can't allow that. Everything we do has to be from what Che called the ultimate revolutionary spirit, which is love. Che Guevara talks about it. Huey P. Newton talks about it. Even George Jackson talks about it. George Jackson said, man, we don't fight because we hate somebody. We fight because we love so much. We tight that, and then we're mad. We mad that they stepping in the way from us just being normal. So we're going to fight to maintain our normalness. We're going to fight to maintain a smile. We're going to fight to maintain, good times. It's not that we want to fight. We got to. See, and that got to be our motivation, man. Not just walk around tight face. Them angry revolutionaries. They just mad about everything. So why when they get freedom, they're going to be mad. I don't want to be free with nobody like that. Because when you ain't got nobody to be mad at, I'm next. Or the kind that come to, like gatherings to show how much they know. I'm out of the 5% Nation. We have a thing called the cipher. And brothers come, sisters come to, two different ciphers. And we start going through the lessons. You quote. You got to quote your lessons. Now, it really is supposed to be for those coming in. You quote, and the ones who know listen, and they correct you. Or, nah, it's this way. And then we call building is when I give, like we're doing right now. I broke down those numbers, and then we start talking about what it mean to you, and what it mean to you, and no, my understanding is this. And you start sharing ideas. That's peace. But after a while, it became dudes was like, yeah, nobody do this. I remember this whole page. And then when they get there, they be waiting. They ain't building with nobody. They're not sharing with nobody. They just wait until you call their name. And then they be like, blah, and they drop it. So everybody's like, whoa. And they feel good about that, right? But that ain't what the circle's for. The circle's for sharing knowledge, not posturing and showing off what you know. Nobody care about that at the end but you. Then it got so much to the point now where nobody from the outside the circle was even being connected. So if we start going to the food drive, it's all about us. seeing us give our food to us, nobody else gonna gravitate to it. You know, it ain't gonna be in Taiwan. It ain't gonna be in Indonesia. It ain't gonna be in Istanbul. It's not gonna be in London. It's not gonna be in Bangladesh. And I'm naming places that it is right now. And it ain't because we got super, revolutionary and figured it all out. It's just that what we doing is so righteous, people just want to do it. You know, it ain't a shocking thing, because I ain't start this. This started in the 60s with the Panther Party. You know, this started with the Garvey movement. This started with so many other movements around the world. So this ain't nothing new, but it's all based on a righteous core, a truly righteous core that can overcome a lot of this madness we see.